Welcome, everyone. I've been looking so much forward to this day. Some of you know it was postponed from December. This had a round of COVID to navigate. So I've been really looking forward to seeing you all today, and Happy New Year's. It would be so wonderful if you felt like typing in where in the world you are based. I know we have people from all over the world tuning in with us today. It would be fun to see where you're actually based. UK, India, Copenhagen, France, the Netherlands, I can't keep up, California, Curacao, Portugal, Italy, Germany. Wow. Wonderful. So we have a precious hour and a half together. And before we get started, before I talk you through what we'll actually be going through, let's just ground the energy together and connect with this little special virtual vortex we are co-creating for the next hour and a half. So this is just an invitation to connect inwards. Close your eyes if that feels comfortable to you. Tune inward. Sense what is alive in you right now. Connect with your breathing. Allow that delicious oxygen to come into your precious ecosystem. Your body, who is holding space for you each day. And allowing the breath to do its revitalizing, regenerative work. Connect with your inner essence. Send some gratitude that you decided to show up today. And I know some of you are in Asia Pacific or Australia and will be asleep by now, but are listening to the recording. So welcome to you as well. Welcoming into that co-created vortex. And again, just tune in to the essence of gratitude and for spending this time together. We will do our best to give you a taste of what it could be like to journey together. But regardless what you choose going after or going forward after this session, we will do our best to offer something meaningful today. So let's take a final breath where we open our eyes and come back to the room. So what we will do together today is, first, I will talk you through some of my reflections about the time that we are navigating as a collective. And then my lovely community nurturer, Emily. Emily, can you wave and say hi? Emily will ground us into a meditation, exploring what is this time that we're navigating as a collective? What is that asking of you? And then we will meet people from the community. You will also get to hear more from me about the more kind of practical elements. So what will we be covering and how will we journey together and who are the guest speakers, and all of the kind of practical bits and pieces will come after our meditation piece. And then you will meet people from our community that were on the journey last year. And then you have the opportunity to ask questions before we close the energy of the room again with a meditation facilitated by Jeroen, who will be another one of our co-facilitators for next year. Jeroen is probably also already here. You'll get to meet him. He is waving. So I will be showing you some slides to start with. That will make it easier for me and you to tune into this time that we are navigating as a collective, at least seen from my lens and my perspective. And To begin with, I wanted to share just a little bit about who I am and why I wanted to hold space for the Regenerative Leadership Journey, and why I wanted it to be for a full year and not just a little course that you could take over 4 or 8 weeks, but that we would journey together over a longer period of time. So very briefly, I've known since I was very young that I wanted to be an environmentalist. I did various kids campaigns, started as an 8-year-old and did campaigns that raised money to buy up pieces of the Ecuadorian part of the Amazon, where I went and moved there as a 19, 20-year-old and thought that was kind of my life path. But I quickly got this sense that I was here to change things, or at least do my little bit to change things at a more systemic level, and understanding what I had been brought up by my activist parents to see as the evil machine, the world of corporations and business. I wanted to understand that energy from the inside out. So I went back to Europe, studied business at London and Copenhagen Business School. And then I started to create various international organizations. I won't talk you through the details about that. But the first I started 15 years ago, which was called the Copenhagen Climate Council, an alliance that were dedicated to making global corporations realize the potential of a strong global deal. That was in the lead up to the negotiations of the COP15 that were taking place in Copenhagen back in 2009. And after that, again, I won't go into detail. We will talk more about viewing that as a case on the journey, a case of how not to do negotiations, because it was very much driven by egos, and it was not a process that valued connection and relationship, something that Christiana Figueres did completely differently in the lead up to COP21 in Paris. So after the political failure in Copenhagen, I was quite depressed and moved to San Francisco and thought a lot about how can we revitalize how we communicate about the most important challenge of our time? How can we make sustainability fun and exciting? And I wrote a book called Guide to Sustainia, and with Arnold Schwarzenegger and Gro Harlem Brundtland and others, I started an organization called Sustainia that was dedicated to making sustainability easy, accessible, understandable, something where we didn't communicate in doom and gloomsday scenarios and pointed fingers of shame and judgment, but made sustainability more fun. And we're focusing on the solutions and the technologies that we could potentially scale and put those heroes into the spotlight. So I worked intensively for 6-7 years on that until my world got completely dark. I had a minor traumatic brain injury and wasn't able to do anything for a very, very long time. And I talk you through that in the little bonus section about my journey that you will find in the course platform. So again, we don't have time to go into detail, but it was a big wake-up call for me to suddenly be stripped of everything and not able to do anything, only being able to surrender to silence and darkness. And that period lasted a couple of years, and it was a massive process of surrendering and letting go, and also kind of asking myself deeper questions about my field of sustainability. And I got many of those moments where I was like, what the F are we doing? We are approaching this in a mechanistic, hierarchical, linear way. We need a new approach, and we need a new approach inspired by the wisdom of living system, the wisdom of indigenous wisdom. So it was very much a dark night of the soul. It was a micro kind of version of what I see is happening on the collective in many ways. I had to completely surrender to something that wasn't something that was within me to the extent that it was a surrendering to living systems. It was a surrendering to nature. It was a reconnection to my inner nature, and a new lens to my field of sustainability that I started to explore. And I started to put together the pieces of the bigger puzzle of how can we weave in psychology, how can we weave in anthropology, finance, how can we weave in biology, how can we collaborate with biologists. So I really went on this exploration as much as I was able to with the brain that I had at the time. And slowly but surely, I got better and better, and started to write and reflect. And as soon as I was ready, I started to 7 years ago to take executives out into nature and explore this transformation of our society that we're going through, and what that is asking them as leaders, how it's asking them to step up in new ways. So in many ways, my little story is one of many micro stories of what I see is happening on a macro level right now. And it feels like we as a collective are navigating this gooey, dark phase of metamorphosis, the same as the caterpillar that is surrendering to a new phase and a new epoch. And while it's in the cocoon, it can seem messy, it can seem dark, and it can seem confusing. We are very much in this liminal space. We are crossing a bridge right now from one paradigm to the next. And it's not a linear process in any way. And that is what this journey is all about. How can we see this as a continuous unfolding, a continuous shedding of new layers? And how can we accept that we don't have all the answers? How can we accept that this is not about learning a new 10-step recipe? It's not about checkboxes to be ticked. It's about new level of consciousness. It's about new ways of being. And I have went from being very much my entire life this lonely wolf. And I think many activists will recognize that sensation of having the weight of the world on your shoulder, and you have to kind of be the warrior that is slaying dragons and fighting the evil. And in my little cocoon and in my metamorphosis, I started to shift that mindset around, because what we need is to stop in our tracks and find community and find kindred spirits, and slow the speed with which we're traveling. I have been so incredibly busy in my life, and it was extracting and exhausting my inner ecosystem to the extent that had the accident not happened, something else would have happened. I'm pretty convinced of that. So what we need is community. We need this interconnected tapestry of life, and we need to join forces. This is not something one woman, one man can do on their own. We need the power of the community, and that is what we will talk more about today. And you will meet people from the Regenerators community, because the time of the lone wolf is over. Time of ego-driven battles is over. We need a new approach, and we need to hold each other's hands in that approach, because the wolf pack has work to do, and the complexity of the time that we're currently navigating is overwhelming. It's exhausting, and it's not something one individual can address on their own. So we need to join forces. We need the community, and we need a new approach that is humbly lending wisdom from this wisdom that we are all a part of, this logic of life, as my colleague and co-author of Regenerative Leadership, Giles Hutchins, and I call it in our book by the same name. So what I have witnessed, because I have worked with executives for a long part of my professional kind of career, if you can call it that, is that there's a massive competency gap. And there's a lot of shame around that. There's a lot of shame around admitting to oneself and, God forbid, to others that you don't feel equipped to navigate the times that we're currently navigating as a collective. And this is one of many CEO studies. And in this study, 50% are being honest with themselves that they don't feel equipped. But I think the number is higher if people were actually daring to be honest with themselves. What we are navigating is what in the field of sustainability we are referring to as the Great Acceleration. But I'm kind of fed up with us in the field of sustainability and beyond looking at graphs and numbers like this without understanding the interconnectedness of these numbers. Yes, we have since the 1950s been through the Great Acceleration, and everything from CO2 consumption to tourism to production, GDP, water use, transportation has been on a steep increase. And that needs to be addressed. But it can only be addressed in a way where we look at it in interconnected ways, in regenerative ways, where we are also daring to look at the fact that when it comes to our mental health and well-being, when we look at the numbers of stress, it's been on the same steep increase since the 1950s. We have never been as burned out and depressed as we are today. And this is on a global level. This is on a planetary level. This is not just a European trend. So I think the latest Gallup study interviewed 154,000 adults from 128 countries. And that study clearly showed that we have never been as depressed, burned out, sad, and anxious as we are today. Never before has people used drugs to cope with the time that we are navigating. So in my previous field, if you can say it, that sustainability, we never talked about this. We never dared go to the inner dimension of this transition that we were trailblazing when we did our keynote speeches and attended conferences. It was a taboo. And I think that is the case in many fields and many walks of life, that we don't dare really talk about that. But the inner continuously informs the outer. And when we are burned out, when we are stressed, we are beyond our capacity, and our brains go into what is called the high beta brainwave state. When we are in high beta, and from an evolutionary point of view, it's genius. That's the reason why we're here today, because when we met a predator on the prairie, our whole energy would flood to just tackling that challenge. We would filter out everything else, and we would get tunnel vision. The problem is that a study has showed that 98% of executives in the US, and I think it's pretty much the same everywhere in the world, spend the majority of their time in high beta. That means that the majority of our leaders today have tunnel vision. And the challenge with the high beta brainwave state is that you can't access empathy or compassion. And you can't think, it's impossible for you to think in holistic, interconnected systems. And for me, that says a lot. And this is a simplification of Steve Polk's polyvagal theory that we will also come back to in the journey and unfold, because it's an important background knowledge to have. That when our nervous systems feel safe and connected, when we feel grounded, that is where we can regenerate. That is where we can truly collaborate and connect with others. That is where we can access empathy and compassion. But as soon as we feel beyond our capacity, we go into the second level. That is when we are very quickly aroused and get anxious. And there are 4 different strategies called find, fawn, flee, or fight. And the most of us, we use all of them to cope with that state. It can either be that we become very dependent on getting praised by others, when we are very dependent on people liking our post on LinkedIn, or we go into people pleaser mode, or we become very quickly angry and annoyed by other people and, oh, now she said that stupid thing again in that meeting. We have all known various versions of how that state shows up as soon as we feel a little beyond capacity. And then the third level, that is when we just completely shut down and everything is too overwhelming. That is when we are burned out and are on sick leave with stress and burnout. So all of this is important backdrop knowledge for regenerators to understand that all of this plays its part. And we are nature. And for 200,000 years, which is 500,000 generations of evolution, we lived completely in tune with nature. Our nervous systems, our brains were shaped in nature. That means that we have an amazing sense and response capacity. It also means that we are wired to be continuously and all the time alert to what is happening in our surroundings. And that is playing its part in how we are navigating a world of, in many people's cases, overwhelm and an insane amount of input we have to filter on a daily basis. So no wonder many of us often feel overwhelmed. And many leaders are simply too stressed to think outside the box. When asked in CEO studies, what is the most important quality you look for in your employees? They often say things like creativity and innovation. No one can be innovative or creative when they are stressed, when they are beyond capacity. But it's not something that we address at the level that we do need to address this. So back to my field, that the field of sustainability that is really beating the drum about this important transformation our societies need to go through. And we have done that by focusing on solutions we need to scale, technologies we need to invent, innovations, and new political frameworks and agreements and financial mechanisms, etc. And we hold conferences and we push that in our reports and in our projects and in our consultancies, etc. But we are missing the bigger point. And that is what the field of regeneration is here to offer us. How can we look at this from a more holistic, compassionate, creative, regenerative lens? How can we stop in our tracks? And how can we find the courage to, instead of continue these linear approaches that we have been taught in our educational systems, how can we start to dare have the courage to open the window and explore the interconnectedness and the vibrancy of life? How can we humbly lend inspiration from the wisdom and logic of life? And how can we sit with the fact that we are navigating a time where we have inner stress, outer stress in our projects, our families, our communities, our societies, and planetary stress? We have crossed 6 out of 9 planetary boundaries that we cannot cross if we want to avoid planetary extinction. So this is serious, and we only have a very short time frame to address this. And I'm eager to make people, or at least offer people, a space where they dare stop in their tracks and dare realize that it's not about beating the drum about new technologies we need to scale very quickly. Yes, we need the technologies, we need the political agreements. But we need a new level of consciousness, and we need it to be deeply rooted in our inner essence. And we need to deeply understand the logic of life, the wisdom of life. And we need to be deeply connected to our own inner essence if we want to stand a chance, if we have a chance to navigate what we're currently navigating. We need to dare ask deeper questions, and we need to dare ask questions about the root cause of what has suddenly got out of hand for us as a collective, from living in community as hunter-gatherers to settling down and starting to farm the land with the agricultural revolution. And then something happened in the Middle Ages that we will explore much deeper in the course. We had in Europe what is called the Little Ice Age, which meant a long period where harvests were failing, people were starving, people were getting sick. And 25 years into the Little Ice Age, the Pope, in desperation of not knowing how to navigate this, they turned towards nature as the culprit. And the discourse changed around nature for being, we are nature and we are part of an interconnected web of life, and we are stewards of life, which is the root of the indigenous wisdom, to one of, we are separate from nature. Nature is something out there. And in the Middle Ages, nature started to, the discourse and the rhetoric around nature started to become, especially during the Little Ice Age, the work of the devil, an extension of the work of the devil. And we need, as the rightful position of mankind in this universe, we need to dominate nature. And we need to extract wisdom of nature for us to be able to understand how we can dominate and how we can get our rightful position in the universe. So the Pope issued an executive order, a papal bull, demanding that all so-called witches were put on trial, so extraction or knowledge extraction could happen. And that was led by the growing scientific revolution at the time. This is a very complex story that I'm narrowing down to very short words, but this is just to say that the essence of the journey is that we dare explore the root cause, that we dare explore, okay, so these amazing thinkers that has been laying the groundwork for our educational system today, that were beginning during the scientific revolution, what was their worldview? It was actually one of reducing, not viewing things as an interconnected wholeness, but understanding things in parts. And if things weren't able to be put on a mathematical formula, they didn't exist. And everything can be run like a clockwork, like a machine, in independent, predictable ways. And in many ways, this reductionistic and extractive belief system spread through the colonial era. And in the journey, especially in the last part of the journey last year, we started to explore each other, we started to explore deeper questions. And that is also what the continuation of our community will do this year, the 22 cohort. So how can we actually also start to see the field of sustainability through the lens of to what extent is that actually still inspired by the colonial era? To what extent are my behavior still inspired by the colonial era? So regenerative leaders are leaders that dare ask the uncomfortable questions as well, and dare to sit with that, and dare to accept that we all have faults and we all have massive room for improvement, and we are here to learn and heal and do better together. And then the whole industrial era started by the find of fossil fuel, this 300 million old fossil plant matter that led to the explosion of the industrial era. So all of a sudden we weren't dependent on what a man could do in a day, but suddenly we could optimize and be efficient. And when I studied business, I was very much taught a paradigm of optimization and efficiency, and how can we run the organization as a machine. The organizational design is one of a hierarchy where you trickle down decisions from the top, and you close the doors and you invent a strategy and you trickle down those decisions through a hierarchical organizational design. That is what I was taught. That is what many was taught. And the regenerative leader dare question that organizational design, and dare to start to view the world as an interconnected tapestry of life, where this story of separation that we have been through as a collective needs to be healed for us to be truly able to step into the regenerative era. So the regenerative journey is also one of reclaiming and reconnecting to the parts of ourselves that we have lost through the story of life, or through the past many years of our collective history. That is part of healing the collective crisis and going to the roots, because the regenerative era, as I said before, it's not about a 10-step process. It's not about checking boxes. It's a deep inner exploratory work that we will do together for all of the next year. This is a visual representation of one of the sessions that we had last year, about coming into our essence, about re-indigenization in a humble and respectful way, reconnecting with the parts of of our inner DNA that used to be deeply connected with nature, shedding layers of what we have been through, of what no longer serve, if we want to be stewards of a new regenerative era. We have explored the logic of life, which is something that will also be covered in one of the modules, and something that will be a thread throughout the journey. How can we learn to navigate this wisdom of life? And how can we start to see our organizations, our communities, our families as living systems? How can we start to understand biology in a way where we are bringing it into organizational design, into leadership, into organizational development, understanding that everything can be taken back to the micro level. On a micro level, a healthy cell is a cell in homeostasis. And a healthy cell is a cell that is able to continuously sense and respond. And understanding homeostasis is important for us. What is your perfect homeostasis? What is the perfect conditions that our organizations need to be in homeostasis, where we can truly sense and respond? So living systems are constantly sensing and responding. They are not machines that are shutting off overnight. It's constantly alive. And when injured, living systems can heal themselves through a self-organized response. Or if the environment changes, they can adapt and evolve new capacities. And that is the kind of mindset that we need for our organizations as well, because our organizations are living, vibrant systems. All employees, stakeholders are cells in that organism. And how can we start to view our organizations with that lens? And how can we start to understand? This is a brilliant quote from a systems thinker I'm very inspired by, Donella Meadows. Large organizations lose their resilience simply because the feedback mechanisms by which they constantly sense and respond to their environment have to travel through too many layers of delay and distortion. And I think many of you will recognize this. And it shows up in different shapes and forms. But again, living systems are these, organizations are these living systems. And either you have a living system that is operating in syntropy, that is healthy, where we have strong and coherent values that are bringing together the divergent elements into coherence. And there's a healthy way of communicating. There are healthy feedback loops within that organization. Or you will find living systems and organizations that are operating in constant entropy, where we have a dysfunctional culture, where feedback loops are constantly disrupted due to toxic communication, or due to a lack of an environment where people feel they can be true to who they are, where people feel they have to wear a mask to fit in. We see that again and again in so many organizations, where we don't see healthy communications loops, healthy feedback loops. And this is just a tiny little segment of how we will start to explore this landscape of viewing organizations as living systems, and starting to embody our role as community facilitators, community nurturers, ecosystem facilitators. And that's something that we will explore a lot journeying through 2023. How can we start to see ourselves as ecosystem facilitators? And how can we start to map both the inner and the outer dimensions of our ecosystems? And how can we start to view the dynamics that are at play in the communities that we are a part of? And how can we lend wisdom from one of many frameworks and tools that we will explore? One that will play a primary role is the DNA framework that I have co-invented and created with Giles Hutchins. But again, this is not a 10-step formula. This is not a new thing that you need to be experts in. The DNA framework is a tool and framework that is allowing you to dance with systems, allowing you to enter the organization through different doors, starting to lend a new lens to exploring the health of your organization, your community? How can we lend wisdom from biomimicry and circular economy, adult development psychology, stillness and meditation and mindfulness? And how can we see that the regenerative era is this multidimensional field that we are starting to be stewards of and in coherence with? So this time that we are navigating is an overwhelming and equally exciting time, and we are on the cusp of a radical paradigm shift. And what I feel called to offer is a space where we can explore that together. And in a way, it's very important for me to create a space where this is not about me putting myself on a pedestal. I'm not excited about that. It belongs to the old world. I'm excited about a space of co-weaving, of co-learning, co-unlearning. And how can we explore this new field together? Yes, I will be the main space holder. Yes, there will be a lot of things that I will offer you, but it's about all of you sensing into your own agency. It's not about becoming me. It's not about becoming someone else. It's about connecting with your true essence, your offering in this new emerging regenerative paradigm. It's about a new way of leading. And that is what we will explore in this journey. How do we facilitate this shift in a way that is not of the energy of the old, but of the energy of the new? The energy of the wool pack, the energy of the mycelium that is connected through time and space, and a new level of consciousness. How can we hold space for this new level of consciousness, this new regenerative consciousness, in a way where we are humbly exploring that together, shedding layers together, asking deeper questions together? That is what excites me. And that is part of the reason why we need a whole year. It can't be done in 4 weeks or 8 weeks. We need a whole year. And actually, the majority of the people from last year's journey have decided to continue on as a co-created community, because this is just the beginning. And what we will do now is the amazing Emily, that will be your community nurturer should you decide to say yes to this invitation. She will now hold space for bringing all of what I've said back to you, and exploring within yourself for the next 10 minutes what these times are asking of you. And when we have done that, I will, in 15 minutes, talk you through the more practical elements of the journey, the whys and not the whys, but the kind of the bits and the pieces that hopefully will make all of this a lot clearer. So, Emily, I will hand over the mic.
So we are going to take a moment now to receive everything that Laura has shared with us, and allow that to land and to bounce into our inner ecosystems and to activate us. So I'm going to invite us to take a few deep breaths together. So filling our lungs and our bellies. And exhaling deeply. So doing that in your own space a few times. Inhaling to receive everything that we have just heard Laura share, and then exhaling and we're letting go. Letting go, because when we receive information like this, we are shifting. We are not the same humans we were just a moment ago before Laura gave us all of this powerful information and context. So we're going to spend a moment to connect inwards in stillness together. And so if it feels right for you to do so in this moment, I'm going to invite you to gently close your eyes or placing them in a soft gaze, but just doing what feels right for you. And you may want to take another couple of deep breaths as you allow yourself to close your eyes and come into a place of stillness. That's it. And so allowing now the parts of your body that are touching the chair or the bed or the floor or wherever you are finding yourself at this moment to sense the connection between yourself and the earth. So becoming aware of the connection between yourself and the earth in this moment. And as you do, you sense the pull of gravity from deep inside the earth. And this pull of gravity is pulling you downward and inward. Downward and inward. Downward and inward into yourself, into your inner ecosystem. And just allowing yourself a breath here. And allowing yourself to feel held here, of feeling held. And notice what you are feeling in this moment, how you are feeling in this moment. Notice what is here in your inner ecosystem. What is alive in you? What has been activated in you? What is emerging in you? Welcoming what is here, whatever is here. Listening deeply to this part of you who knows, this part of you who feels, this part of you who senses. And welcoming this part of you. And perhaps taking another deep breath again. Acknowledging that our breath is the bringer of life. And as you are connecting with yourself in this gentle way, in this allowing way, and welcoming what is here in your inner ecosystem, you become aware of yourself as a beautiful and important and significant cell connected to everything and everyone in the web of life, in the web of humanity. A cell that is connected to everything that ever was and everything that will ever be. You become aware of yourself as a perfect expression of the universe, alive at this moment in time. Billions of specks of stardust, millions upon millions of years of evolution, tens of thousands of generations of ancestors living and breathing before you, so that you could be here now. Right now, in these turning times, in these pivotal times, we are here. Together, we are here. And life is calling us. Earth is calling us. Humanity is calling us, inviting us, asking us to lean in, asking us to consider who do we want to be here now? How do we want to be here now? What are these times asking of me? What are these times asking me to remember? Who are they asking me to become? What are these times asking of me? Taking a deep breath here. And allowing your inner knowing to now show you, reveal to you in images, in words, or simply sensations. Receiving everything that is here. Everything that is being revealed, welcoming everything, embracing everything, knowing that whatever is here, what is being shown to you right now, is right for you in this moment. And taking another deep breath to receive and thanking yourself, thanking your inner knowing. And now you may want to take another deep breath to gently come back to your physical body, if it is available to you, welcoming some small, gentle movements to your body, your fingers, your toes, shoulders, whatever is available to you to move. And then when it feels right for you to do so, gently, gently blinking your eyes open and maybe taking another deep breath. And if you want, you can now find something to write on or journal on, or you may just want to take a little moment in silence to just reflect on what came through for you. Well done, everybody. Thank you for participating. I'm going to hand over to you now, Laura, so we can hear more about what the journey ahead looks like for us.
Thank you so much, Emily. And for us, it was important to weave in an element like this, because that's how we want to journey going forward. And I just wanted to address that for some it can be deeply uncomfortable, and it takes some getting used to stop and not be fed information all the time, but to connect inward. And I have had my fun experiences with that in the past that I will share in our journey. But I just wanted to address that in case anyone was like, meditation is really uncomfortable for me. Just go with the flow and allowing that emotion to be there. We will never force anything on you. This is all an invitation. It's an invitation to stop in our track, listen to the music, connect inward. But if we don't feel like it, there's no push. So you will never be forced. It was just important for us to share that. But we do value that we need a new format for gathering, especially because we are journeying virtually. So we need to dance together in a new way where we are allowing both the kind of the expansion, but also to retract and go inward. That's part of the rhythm of life, and you will be know more about that as we journey along. So the next segment is more the kind of practical elements and the bits and pieces that can be nice to know when you are setting sails and embarking on a journey. So what is this? How many times will we gather? Where do I go? What does it look like and feel like? So upon registering, some of you have already registered, and I know you are attending even though you have already signed up. So you will know that immediately upon registering, you get access to 6 pre-recorded modules that are taking you deep into so why do we need regenerative leadership, an extended version of what I just talked you through, coming very much from why do our organizations and societies need to change, and why is there this sudden interest in regenerative leadership and business. I remember when I started to talk about these things coming out of my cave 6-7 years ago. I was met by my old peers in the field of sustainability with a bit of skepticism, actually a lot of skepticism. And I felt that they were looking at me like, oh, that lady probably hit her head a bit too much, starting to talk about the wisdom of nature and how can we redesign in a way where we are rooted with the life on this planet. So a bit about that, a bit about a module about the story of separation. Some of what I've also just talked you through before, but in a much more elaborate version. Module 3 will take us deep into the 7 principles of the logic of life, and how we can translate that into our organizations. Module 4 is all about the ecosystem facilitator, the role of the regenerative leader, and how can we be this space holder for living systems and organizations viewed as living system. What is a practice for me? How can I start to map my ecosystem, and what are the entry points that I can go through when I start to explore my organization, my community, my family, my life through that lens. Module 5 is very detailed and is the most kind of comprehensive module because it's taking you through all the 17 DNA strands of the DNA framework and models. So for those of you that really love frameworks and models, and want the tool where you can start assessing your organization and start to get some kind of assessment, that module will be just for you. That's a lot of cases is in that module as well. And we will have cases and best practice examples throughout the journey. You will also get to meet some of the organizations that are on this journey towards becoming regenerative. And module 6 is all about regenerative leadership capacities. And I will share that module with you in the follow-up. You will all receive an email as a follow-up with the recording from today, but also with module 6. So you can get a bit of a flavor of these modules, but that's the pre-recorded elements. And it looks like that in the inner kind of the portal of the course. So to the left-hand side, you have all the modules. And when you click on a module, you get like a scroll down menu and you can watch the various videos. And it comes with the slide deck for each of the module, and it also comes with a transcript. So if you feel better reading through a script, that will be for you. And we are in a process of slowly starting, no promises yet, but just something that will come in the future, of translating these transcripts to Japanese, Spanish, Portuguese, possibly also German. But for you and for accessing now, the English transcripts will be available for you for all the different modules in there. It also comes, you get immediate access to a workbook, and the workbook, I think about 50% of the participants from last year's journey use that actively throughout the journey. It's an offering, and it's a way for you to continuously integrate the learnings that you have been through. And for example, in the getting started module, there are questions like, what potential do I hope this journey will activate within me? What feels alive in me right now? What is my unique role in this lifetime? But then the questions for the specific modules, which be much more about how could you integrate the logic of life into your life, etc. You can print this out and write with your hand, but you can also, it's a so-called editable PDF, which means that you can write on a computer. If you download it to your local computer, you can write within it. So you have that opportunity as well. And then we have the community forum, and that is where you will meet your fellow journey travelers. You can see to the left-hand side, you have all the members. This is the current members. So we are 142 signed up by now. And this is where you can find an overview of the very events that will directly take you to the event and have the Zoom link there. That is where you can discuss various things. We are in the process of figuring out the best way to do a shared library that we can all collectively grow organically. So instead of having specific small libraries for each of the courses and journeys, we are in the process of reconfiguring that so we can tap into the collective intelligence of the community. So that will also be available to you fairly soon. That is organized by topic. So you click on a topic. I want to know more about regenerative business or biomimicry, regenerative economics, and resources for you to explore deeper pops up in that space. But it's very important for me to say that a big part of this journey is to tap into emergence. Regenerative leaders need to dance with that capacity of allowing and holding space for emergence. So this is not a rigid linear journey. The live sessions with me will hold space for what is alive within the community. We will put aside time to allow a shared holding space for each of the topics of the 6 modules. So we explore live together how we can tap into the logic of life. So we have sessions on each of the themes from the pre-recorded modules, but then we hold space for what is alive. Where does the 23 community wants to go? What excites them? What do we want to explore deeper? So we as facilitators are continuously sensing and responding. So there will be a few kind of surveys on the way so we can deeply sense where you are, what you long for, where we should go next. So we will be on our feet to tune into where the collective want to take us. So the elements of the sessions are often 2 hours. That's the kind of standard format. And the elements of a journey is very simple, similar to what you will experience today. We will ground in the beginning. We will explore a topic deeper. Then we will go out into breakouts. We won't do that again, but we always do that in our live sessions because it's so valuable for all of you to get to know each other and connect and explore. And for all of you that don't feel comfortable raising your voice in plenum, it's much more intimate when we are breaking out in groups of either 3, 4, 5, 6, that depend on what we are exploring. And then we share together in circle in plenum. Emily is a genius in integrating play and embodiment, so she will help hold space for that. I'm not a genius in that, but I value the importance of it. It's an important way of helping us integrate and embody what we have just been through. So that is how a typical session is structured and designed. So this year we have these guest speakers, and new or more will be added. That was also the case last year. And all of the guest contributors from last year that were comfortable by making their contribution from last year accessible, you will also find in your library. So John Fullerton, you will have access to a session he did, a 2-hour session on regenerative economics. And Joost de Blok, the founder of Buurtzorg, he did a session with us that you will also have access to. There's a few other sessions you will have access to, but this is this year's guest speakers. And they will cover everything from decolonizing sustainability to biomimicry and bioinnovation, to how can, for example, Andrew Winston has been in the field of sustainability for a long time. He wrote Green to Gold, and he recently co-authored with Paul Polman Net Positive. And I wanted his voice in here because he understands the world of business, the world of sustainability. To me, Net Positive is not exactly the same as regenerative business, but you will know more about this as we journey along. But his perspective on Net Positive is important. Philip will give us a session on regenerative agriculture. We will hear from Eva Carlson from Houdini, Trey Cates from In Rhythm, who are also holding space for regenerative leadership and running his own courses. Nora Bateson, an amazing thinker, will run a little session with us on warm data. I think I have been through most of them by now. Daniel Christian Wahl is very much one of the pioneers of the regenerative movement. He will hold space for 1 or 2 sessions as well. And this is all unfolding. This is what I can guarantee you by now, but this will unfold, and more will potentially quite likely be added. That was also the case last year. Then we want to offer everyone the opportunity of being in your own home circle. So in February, we will invite all of you that want to be in your own home circle. A home circle is one that consists of 6 people. And last year, we designed home circles for everyone. But that wasn't really the right approach forward. So this year it's voluntary. So it's only for those that want to dedicate time to self-organize extra session with their home circles. So this is an extra thing where we hold space and offer you a structured framework and a guide for how do we create safe spaces for sharing, how do we practice deep listening in our sessions, etc. It's an opportunity, but it's not mandatory in any way. But it's been really great for those home circles that have worked really well last year, and people are still connecting. Some have decided to meet every week, some twice a month, some monthly, and that is something that you will decide between you. We will actually do it in a way where we will put people together that want to meet every week and want to spend really a lot of time on this together, and then people that want to meet monthly together, etc. More details about that should you decide to journey with us. So we have a variety of sessions. We have a session a month with me. And there will probably be more added as we go along. But the sessions with me, last year it was 1 time slot a day. But this year we will do a European morning session and a European afternoon session, which makes it possible for our friends in South America and US, Canada to attend, as well as India, Australia, China. It will make it easier for them with 2 time slot opportunities. That won't be the case for the guests. They will only do 1 appearance, but all sessions, also the ones with me, will be recorded and put in your library. Then every quarter, at least, maybe more, we will do integration sessions that won't be recorded. Just a safe space for allowing whatever wants to be aired. We did that last year a couple of times, where we explored the theme radical honesty in one of them. Another one, we explored grief. So that could be, what is a life that needs a different format than a traditional session, but more a shared holding space. What is a life for me right now? Then we have the home circle sessions that you organize yourself, but we offer a structure. And then what has been really exciting about last year's journey is the community-led sessions. So in the second half of the journey, last year it was in the final quarter of the journey, we offered the opportunity of the community members to organize their own events that we would help hold space for. And it was just an explosion of inspiration. It was so incredible. So we had sessions on play and nature immersions and family constellations and communications and masculinity and regenerative architecture, regenerative finance, and it was all led by community members. Incredibly exciting, and something that we will definitely do next year as well. This was a lot, and all of this has been recorded, and you will get this recording, and we will also be available to answer your questions. But a question we, of course, get a lot is, how much time do I need to invest in this? One thing is the financial investment, but how much time does this require? And I can only say that we have had community members that are just now catching up with the recorded sessions and are sending me emails that this is really valuable, but I was just too overwhelmed by other things in my life that I'm only now starting to catch up, and it's still valuable. But we also have journey travelers that have been there more or less in every session, doing the workbook and doing the extra suggestions for studying further, etc. So the spectrum is very, very wide. I would say that I would really recommend showing up for at least a monthly live session with me. Watch the guest sessions when you have time. But in the monthly live sessions with me, you get to cross-pollinate with the community. And the community is really where the magic happens. That is where the richness lies, and you will get to experience that for yourself. And watching the pre-recorded modules in your own time and space would be recommended. So that's not a whole lot of time. And because we have a full year, you can kind of eat the elephant in bites. I hope that made sense. You will get to ask questions if there are questions that haven't been addressed yet. But what I wanted to help offer you today is to meet human beings that I have come to love deeply last year, fellow community journey members that I think you will quickly experience that this community is not one where there is a facilitator and a trainer, and then there are students. We are holding space collectively for this new emerging paradigm. And it's been such a deep privilege that I don't take for granted to explore and witness all of these human beings coming into the same space and coming closer to their essence and exploring this field of regeneration. It's been the greatest honor, and something that I don't take for granted. And I deeply appreciate all of these human beings. And I wanted you to get the chance to meet some of them. So that is what we will do now. And this is not a part of our session today that is very designed. This is just an opportunity for our friends to express what is on their mind when sharing how the experience was to them last year. So I don't know if anyone have the courage to go first.
I'm happy to go first, if that's okay.
Wonderful, Colleen. Colleen is tuning in from South Africa.
That's right. That's right. And for me, I was so aware of where I was, the destructive parts of a mechanized world. And I didn't know, I didn't have the words to actually say what I was feeling, and intuitively knew that there was something more. And coming from an executive coaching and learning and development space, I was expecting facilitator, student space, and it derailed me initially. When it was suddenly, this is not like that. But it also allowed me to connect in a more organic, emergent way. Things were emerging, and we learned how to weave things. And I was one of those people that everything was a blur because we were coming out of the pandemic. And then suddenly I started getting it. And I started being a fellow weaver and a fellow traveler, which actually allowed me to, I'm the one who's going back now to the beginning part and going, oh, that is what we want to do. And what this journey has really encouraged me to do, besides the fact of interconnecting with people around the world, is I'm now looking for the regenerative voice in my area of Africa and seeing the importance of it. And once you wake up, you can never go back to sleep. And it's been life-changing, and I'm excited for everyone to be on it. And look forward to meeting you all as you continue on this journey.
Thank you so much, Colleen. And I would actually encourage everyone that are interested in seeing Colleen's work and how it has changed to follow her on LinkedIn. Colleen is quite great at giving updates, and you will see how she's weaving in this language into her business of coaching and consulting.
Can I go next, Laura, if that's okay?
Yes, Suleiman is tuning in from
London.
London.
So hey everyone, so I'm Suleiman, and I'm a disabled regenerative entrepreneur currently based in London in the UK. So I signed up to this program in November 2021 on the day that I withdrew from my Master of Science program in Sustainable Development due to inaccessibility and oppression. And it was one of the best decisions that I have made personally and professionally. Being a part of this program and the community, I am now completely different. I am now wholeheartedly radical, restful, and regenerative in everything that I do and every interaction I have, always. Also, I feel so supported by Laura, this community, and the program. And this is something that's so rare in traditional and inaccessible sustainability spaces and conversations. And to me, experiencing and accepting regeneration is like oxygen to my lungs. This program and this community are like a hug from a cloud and like a kiss from Mother Earth. It is a sacred space. It is, and what I feel is possible when we join together in community like this is a life and work that's filled with abundance and interdependence through love for our radical and collective liberation of ourselves and our kin, both human and non-human. Ultimately, Laura, this community, and this program has changed my life and how I exist. Auntie Octavia E. Butler said it best. Open quote, all that you touch, you change. All that you change, changes you. The only lasting truth is change. Close quote. Thank you very much. I really appreciate Laura and this whole community. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Suleiman. And I hope you don't mind me saying, but Suleiman was journey traveling with his colleague, Deborah Campbell, and together they have Born Equal Consultants. And I would actually really recommend following them as well. They are going all in now on what they call radical regeneration, because there will be no regenerative era if we don't have radical inclusion and diversity, and they are experts in that. And it's amazing to see how they are weaving in everything that they have learned on the journey into their work and taking that to the next level.
Thank you so much. One thing I want to say, for Equal Consults is Laura's business, and I have my own business. But what we did really well, as Laura said, we work interdependently and radically through our connection, and this journey has really supported us in this journey. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Suleiman. Thank you so much.
Well, I can continue. Hello, my name is
Anna is calling in from Copenhagen, Denmark.
Yes, but I'm actually Swedish, but I'm a designer, and I used to work with digital stuff, mostly in my head. And suddenly I reckon that was not enough. I want to help the planet. So, and it was a really emotional journey for me to be on regenerative leadership. I knew I was going to connect with my creativity again, but I really didn't know how. So I actually started to draw all the new inputs I got, because that was like my way of getting to grasp this, to get this information, not only as information, but to get it deep into my heart. So that was my way of putting things together as both designer and a coach and a permaculture grower. So to have a deep understanding of care for people and the land, and for how to work deeper with the place we're from, and also get my blood on my hands when we got into colonialism and indigenous people's rights. All those things really, really touched me. So on a spiritual level, it's been really fantastic. And I've came with a lot of frustration, and I recognized that we were so many. So I got out of this loneliness, and I got the hope together with a lot of people. So the whole planet first approach has been really an important way for me of working as a designer, go from user-centric and have the user as the main species on the planet, to more to grasp that we are a lot of species on this planet. So it's been on so many levels. I only have a few seconds to fill out, but on emotional, to co-weave together with a lot of people from the whole world, it's just been really a great start, I would say, because we continue both in local Copenhagen, Denmark, and from different angles with different interests too. So I'm just happy to be on this journey together with you.
Thank you so much, Anna. And again, it's also such a pleasure to see how you are weaving in all of this to your work and how you're taking that to the next level. So follow Anna as well. You should follow all of the amazing community members.
Let me try next if you want.
Yes,
and
Paco, you will help hold space for the Spanish-speaking part of the community in 2023. Where are you based right now? Because you're from Mexico, but you are all spending a lot of time in Barcelona, right?
I'm in Barcelona today, yeah, and a couple of weeks I'm going to be moving to Madrid, and then while trying to create this Regenerators Hub and the Academy for the whole Spanish-speaking countries. So yeah, I'll be moving a lot next year. And well, that was part of the transformation. If I had to summarize my journey, there are two words. Now, one is integration and the other one is belonging. And I think that on the integration part is, well, all these elements and frameworks and different perspectives that are included in the videos are coming from the book that I also recommend, that is an amazing source of knowledge and inspiration. Well, I think that are included in this journey. So there are going to be a lot of tools, there are going to be a lot of conversations that are really, really transformational. But then you have the whole community and the conversations in your group and in the community as a whole that are really marvelous. I mean, for me, it has been really magical to have contact with all these people that are working from different perspectives in a transformation that is really needed in the world. And you feel that well, it's my case. Is this belonging? This is our tribe, and this is really what we are building here, and we are co-creating all together, bringing different elements. I have been dedicated a long time on trying to help people and organizations on their transformation journey, but I think that here, and I have transformed all my services and my portfolio. I'm on this process as well, and to make this the main part of this transformation journey, to create next level organizations, because I think that this allows to co-create not only with my services and my offering, no, but also opportunities and possibilities that are being co-created inside this organization, so this community and this tribe, as I mentioned. So it's a fantastic journey. So I really recommend to join this, because again, it's not the annual journey. I think that this is going to be forever and ever, because well, we need to find ways to fix this, and we need to become activists of this regeneration. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Paco. And I look forward to also making this more accessible for the Spanish-speaking part of the world, and hopefully more languages will be added as we journey along. Anyone else from our 22 community that are here that would like to share a glimpse of their experience?
Hello, Laura. Oh no, it's Simon first. Off you go, mate.
Okay, all right. Thank you, Charlie. I'm mindful of time. Yeah, I felt really motivated to want to come and actually share some words about this, because it has truly been like a very nourishing and sort of like life-changing experience. I was going through a difficult year myself in various ways, like many people were. I guess the nature of like riding the storms of the VUCA reality. I was dealing with various different sort of traumas that I'd experiencing, difficulties with what's going on in England with regard to the cost of living crisis and things like this. So I wasn't always able to engage with the course as much as I would like to have. However, the way that it was organized, the way that it was facilitated, it was incredibly accommodating. And that was really meaningful to me. I really want to take this small amount of time that I've got to point towards actually how well organized it was. And it's not just about the high quality content, so getting like kind of leading content about regenerative leadership from Laura, but also the way it was facilitated. I'm a facilitator myself, and it was a real joy. It felt like a deeply valuable experience being a participant in a journey that was being organized and facilitated in such a skillful way. And I'm talking about not just the way that the sessions were kind of facilitated in a very holistic way. So it felt very regenerative itself to be a part of the sessions themselves, but the whole structure of the course with the recordings, the sessions themselves, the ways in which there was kind of like check-ins with us, kind of like consultations so that we could give our feedback, and halfway through and then towards the end. So this idea of sense and respond, and how the journey is constantly shifting and changing depending on what we're communicating. There's so much to say, but the last thing that I really want to say is how the course kind of like came to an end as well, in the way that it didn't, which was beautiful. And it feels as though we're a part of a truly impactful, meaningful movement that has the potential to create the kind of change that is actually required. You know, the people that are on this course, beautiful, passionate, talented people that really want to make a difference. You know, you get that real sense that people are, we have hope and belief that we can make the kind of changes that are required. And being a part of the movement of this course and the community of this course gives hope, empowerment, and this sense of true possibility that genuine ripples and waves are being spread. So it's been a real honor. I couldn't recommend it enough. Thank you very much for listening.
Deep gratitude, Simon. Thank you so much. And a couple of months ago, Simon got the keys. He got a little an early Christmas present to what he will transform into a regenerative community center. So I'm also really looking forward to following you going forward, Simon. Thank you so much. Charlie, my friend, disruptor of the corporate world.
Yes, indeed, the corporate world. Well, this course has been, it won't give you all the answers, and it won't give you all the keys. And at times it's been uncomfortable. It's been uncomfortable for me, asking about, things like the story of separation, my role in that, and diving into my own white privilege and ableism, was pretty challenging at times, and it's a good thing. And it's a good thing, and that's it. It's been overwhelmingly optimistic and useful, this course, and it's enabled me to slow down. It's enabled me to have a more healthy relationship with time. It's enabled me to de-learn and to ultimately actually curb the stress I create for myself and for those who I'm surrounded by. And a lot of that is due to the community, and seeing how they work and being part of that. Because I was very much, I've been acting as a lonesome cowboy for some time, and I've kind of, I used to enjoy that, and very much so, but now I've seen this other side. So the corporate world, I used to work for a company called Decathlon up until a week ago. So on a very concrete terms, we took regeneration, and I was on the course with Audrey, also from Decathlon. And it was great having someone from the company, because we were always having our own sessions between us. And we're actually going to have our own session again. Audrey and I are going to Sweden and Denmark to meet a few of you beautiful people. And we delivered regeneration days at Decathlon, in the mountains to the mountain sport brands, and on the coast to the sports brands, with 200 people there. And it was really good. And we used the modules, what we'd learned. So we were taking what we were learning, sometimes adapting it to our audience. And we did that DNA framework, and we got over 200 people to diagnose where they are today individually from a regenerative perspective. So now, as I head into a new life, which is actually probably just the life I was supposed to lead, and the community has helped me to get to that point. To become regenerative as a business, I really underestimated how regenerative I would have to become myself. And of course, that is work in progress, but it's really helped me to become who I really am. And it's not just life changing, it's life affirming.
Thank you so much, Charlie. I met Charlie at a quite corporate. I ran a virtual session for Decathlon a year and a half ago, something like that. And it's been such a privilege and pleasure to watch your unfolding and becoming. And I'm excited about the future ahead. Thank you so much. Was that all of the wonderful people from 22 that joined us today? I think it was, maybe. Thank you so much for showing up and just giving some of your flavor and what you took away from the journey. And as Emily has shared, if any of you have questions you feel were not addressed today, you can either put them in the chat here now. There's also an email where you can reach out to us. And now we have Jeroen, who will also be co-facilitating some of the sessions next year. And he was also a Journey member last year. Jeroen, are you here? He will just
I'm here. Yes.
Help us ground the energies and close the energy of today's session.
Okay, thank you very much. Then I invite you to take this moment to turn inward, whatever circumstances you find yourself in. I invite you to close your eyes and find a comfortable position, whatever way that looks for you. Could be lying down, sitting, standing, or whatever other position is available to you at this moment. Just focusing on a space you can be in for a couple of minutes, allowing everything that has been shared, all the information, the frameworks, the experiences of fellow travelers, everything that has come to you to settle in for a moment, to solidify for a while. And I invite you to first turn your attention towards your eyes, any tension or relaxation in this area. What can be very helpful here is to just imagine your eyes being surrounded by the liquid around them, and then allowing a feeling of relaxation to expand further through your face, all the way until you feel your jaws, your nose, ears, everything relax. And becoming aware of the sounds around you, just naming them for yourself to verify you're indeed in a safe space. Going down further towards the center of the chest, connecting to someone, person, an animal, a place that is close and dear to you. Enabling, feeling, being connected, and then moving further downward in the body towards the abdomen, where you can feel the movement of breath. Perhaps you feel a deep movement of breath going in and out of the abdomen. Perhaps it's a bit more shallow. That's all fine. Nothing you need to change in terms of breath. And allowing to move further downward towards the earth through the legs, the knees, to the surface you're touching. Whether you're lying down, standing up, sitting, or anything in between. Allowing yourself to surrender to the pull of gravity from the earth. And connecting to the sense of potential that being connected to others on a similar journey could bring to you. Realizing that the time of being alone in your journey, your ambitions, and your hopes and dreams is no longer necessary. Here in this virtual space, but also in other spaces around you, there are others you can connect with and join together to co-create. Allowing yourself a few moments in silence to connect to this incredible potential that lies ahead of you, whether you'll choose to be part of this 2023 journey, regenerative leadership, or have other pathways to co-create with others. Weaving the digital and the physical worlds, connecting in a local way, in an international way, making use of these incredible technologies to be deeply connected to each other, also through countries, through borders, through continents, connecting to fellow travelers, other humans, eye to eye. And I invite you to take the question with you when we end this session. What the potential is that you feel for yourself, you see for yourself, and potentially your organization, by embarking on or continuing on the journey of regeneration. Are there any feelings, thoughts, emotions, sensations running through you when asking yourself this question? Are there any small steps you could already see yourself taking today, tomorrow, the day after? Or is it not the time to act yet? Each one of you will have your own answers to these questions, or the answer may come later. And in the spirit of community, I invite you to, when we end this meditation and open our eyes, to just be guided by your intuition and connect with at least one other person on the screen, if you can, towards the eyes and without speaking, in silence, to already get a further sense of who's here and to connect on a human level. So I invite you to slowly return, maybe with some gentle movement if that's comfortable and available to you. Taking a deep breath in and very gently allowing your eyes to open, just connecting with whoever you feel drawn to connect with on the screen. Just being present serving this fellow human.
Thank you so much. Deeply grateful to all of you that were present with us today, to the 22 community members that decided to join us today. I look forward to journeying with you in our new constellation. To the 23 Journey community members, I look forward to journeying with you. And if you don't want to continue the journey, I look forward to seeing you whenever I will see you out there in the world. And I wish you all the best. Travel safely, travel regeneratively, and much love to all of you. Thank you so much.